Yeah, boy.
You gonna knock the thing over.
Not gonna knock it over. What's going on, Periscope? It's your boy, Rev Gracie, coming at you with my wife, beautiful wife.
Hey, guys.
Bing. Everybody say Happy Mother's Day to my wife. Okay, maybe not.
Not yet.
Coming to you. Hello, everybody that is joining.
Hello.
Go ahead, give me a count. See, there we go. Stacey say Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Here we are. Chris, what's going on?
Right, sure,
After last week, where we talked about where was Adam? Where was Adam? Huge. If you missed last week, I know I'm dropping stuff, messing stuff up. If you missed last week, go back, and the good news is it's on Facebook Live. The better news is we are one person away from officially reaching
250.
250?
Yep.
250. Chris, say Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to you too. Happy Mother's Day, Stacey.
250 likes on Facebook. Once we hit 250, guess what? I'm going to go ahead and let out the secret now. Our YouTube page will officially go live, which means you can go back and watch all of the past episodes that you've missed. If you've missed some information, I know a lot of you
Hey, Facebook Live family.
Hey, Facebook, what's going on? Look at Pastor Rumlin checking in from Florida. What's up, boy? If you are ever in the Florida area,
In Jacksonville,
I encourage you. Trust me, I'm never gonna send you anywhere. I don't pub anybody that does not deserve to be pub. Look at Stacey. Dayspring is awesome.
Guys, go follow Pastor Rumlin too, because he periscopes his Bible studies. Pastor Rumlin, your Bible study on Wednesday was a complete and utter blessing to my life. So thank you, sir, for taking the time out to periscope your weekly Bible studies.
There you go.
So follow Pastor Rumlin.
Go check out Dayspring. If you are in the Jacksonville area, I promise you, Pastor Rumlin will certainly speak life into your situation.
Good play. We love you, Pastor Rumlin.
For those of you that weren't with us last week, we went back into the Genesis piece where it talked about Adam and Eve.
Hey.
What's going on, Trace? And we asked the question, where was Adam? Like I said, I encourage you to go back, check that out, because it's kind of the theme for what we're going into. Yeah. And when we talked about where was Adam, basically it was, where was Adam during the time that Eve decided to talk to the serpent? And just a quick, they don't even use Cliff Notes anymore. What do they use now?
I don't even know. Just quick.
For this crowd, you know what a Cliff Note is.
Yeah.
A quick Cliff Note version. All of my life, I thought Adam and Eve were separated. Wiki. Yep. I thought Adam and Eve were separated at the time that she was talking to the serpent.
I think all of us that was on last week thought Adam and Eve were separate when the serpent came and talked to Eve.
And we found out that Adam was right there. Absent-minded. He was in the situation, but not aware what was going on.
Right.
So, on that note, I kind of want to do a quick poll for those of you that are on Facebook with us, on Periscope with us, whatever you may be on. What is the one thing that you expect out of your spouse? The one thing that you expect out of your spouse?
Ooh, can I answer?
I guess so.
Loyalty.
Now, see, here we go. Jayla says loyalty, but she got it from me. This is what happens when you've been married too long.
I expected you to be loyal before that.
No.
I did.
Loyalty is vital in getting one. What is in your relationship, in searching for a spouse, for a mate?
What would you expect?
What
quality?
What's if you could only start the first round draft pick?
First round draft pick.
Not saying this is the only thing that they have, but This is your first round draft pick. If all else fails, what do they have to possess? And this could be honesty.
Okay. Honesty.
Jalen said loyalty, honesty. I am going to go. They cut the grass.
Oh,
I'm going to go with loyalty also.
Okay.
Faithfulness.
Faithful.
All of those things are important. Encouragement. Wow. Get up my head, dude. Encouragement is huge.
That is huge.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Thinking outside the box.
I should be writing these down. Should I write these down?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Write these down.
The reason I'm asking you this is because there are certain things that your relationship cannot go without. And I guess the real question is, what do you do once your trust has been broken? All understanding.
That's a good one too.
All of these things kind of flow into each other, and if they don't do them, or they don't do them to your liking, you have a tendency not to trust them anymore. If faithfulness is broken, if loyalty is broken, if encouragement is broken, if understanding is broken, if honesty is broken, you don't trust your spouse. In marriage, trust is key. You cannot exist without trust.
Exactly.
And I'm going to have Jayla read just a scripture, and I'll tie it all in.
All right, where am I going?
Mark chapter 3. Start at
25 or 27?
25.
All right. Mark chapter 3, verse 25, and we are reading from
New International.
New International Version. And it reads as, if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
And if Satan opposes himself and is divided, he cannot stand. His end has come. Verse 27. In fact, no one can enter a strong man's house and carry off his possessions unless he first ties up the strong man. Then he can rob his house.
All right, stop. As far as this scripture goes, this is actually when they were accusing Jesus of being a demon himself, the king of demons. And Jesus' response is basically, how can a house stand if it's divided against himself? So how can I drive demons out and be a demon? It just doesn't make good sense. And a lot of people, if you Google that, you'll see millions of people taking credit for that quote. One of them is Honest Abe, Abraham Lincoln. He came out and said, and he was talking about the United States, how can a house stand if it is divided? Well, I'd like to take that scripture and apply it to your marital life. How can a union stand if you're pulling in two different directions? If I expect for you to be trustworthy and you're not, all of a sudden, the direction that we're walking in is two different directions. Just to give you a visual of it, since we are visually here. How y'all doing? How you doing? If I decide to pull to my left and Jayla decides to pull to her right, all of a sudden,
you see our mismatched chairs.
You see our mismatched chair. All of a sudden, there's nobody in the picture.
Right.
When there's nobody in the picture, it gives room for somebody else to take that place.
Exactly.
If you are in a union together and you're walking, this is why when God created man, he didn't create Eve from the heel. He created her from the rib. The rib is next to you and it protects your heart. The rib protects a lot. Mm-hmm. The rib is next to you, so you're able to share. Like if we share a rib, there's no room.
Right here.
You can't. There's nothing. Nothing can get in here. Who we say hi to? Hey, what's going on? There's nothing that can get in. But when we decide that trust has been broken, usually, in most cases, when trust has been broken, you're not this close anymore. You lose. You start to
drift apart.
You start to fracture. You start to drift apart, and some things, some people, some situations can seep in.
Yep.
And if one of the greatest natural phenomenons that I've ever seen is there's an entire canyon that was created simply by the movement of water. It was not drilled out. It was not hammered and chiseled out. There was no hard, harsh thing that went through. It was just water. Mm-hmm. Man, I wish this was.
He did go to the doctor.
I went to the doctor. I got asthma. I'm a grown man with asthma. Mm-hmm. We often think that. We often think that unions, marriages are split apart because of something major taking place. We look at divorces and we say, "Oh, they got a divorce because he was cheating," or she was cheating, or they got a divorce because they were having financial issues, or they got a divorce because there was a kid out of wedlock. There's plenty of reasons that people say you got a divorce for this reason. Mm-hmm. The truth is, once the door is cracked open, things happen.
Exactly.
And nobody ever goes out and commits adultery when you're ribbed up. This is not. It's impossible to get in a third person
when you're this close.
When you're this close. But when you start to drift apart, you allow other people, other situations, to push you apart.
Exactly.
Sometimes that is not. It's not a person that comes in. It's just a difference of opinion.
Right.
And once a difference of opinion comes in, you just kind of ease apart.
Mm-hmm. And here's kind of tying back to last week. It doesn't necessarily have to be the two people drifting apart. It could be one person standing there that hasn't moved, but the other person has moved and you haven't even realized it. And so now you've got this space in between the two of you, and that's where the door has cracked open. And like we saw with Eve, she didn't realize that Adam had checked out, but Adam had checked out and didn't hear that the serpent was even talking to her.
So when we're talking about, what was the last scripture?
27.
Yeah.
Let me read it again.
Read 27.
Okay. Mark chapter 3, verse 27. In fact, no one can enter a strong man's house and carry off his possessions unless he first ties up the strong man. Then he can rob his house.
The strong man that Jesus was speaking of was actually Satan in this scripture text. How can you take over Satan unless you go in and overpower him? But the same thing can be said for your marriage. And men, this is where I really come down hard, harsh, whatever. This is our responsibility as the man of the household, as the person that God gave dominion over. If we're allowing people to freely enter our households, freely enter our situations, our marriages, if we're allowing people in, then we're not doing our job as men. Because if we're Bible says if we're strong men, there's no way that somebody can just come in. We're not just going to sit back and allow somebody to come in and destroy what we've built. But if we aren't men, if we aren't strong men, then it's not a true statement.
Wow.
We have to be strong in what we do. That way, at least if we get overtaken, we know we did everything in our might, We fought, but we got tied up.
And I don't necessarily think you would get tied up. Because if
Well,
you...
I'm just going by what the Bible say. What
Alright.
the Bible say.
What the word say. I ain't gonna argue the word.
Right.
I ain't gonna argue the word.
Or let things in, not just people. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's why one of my main frustrations with people that end up dealing with divorce situations, you always hear 99% of the time it's an infidelity issue, because people come out and say, well, he stepped out on me or she stepped out on me and we got caught and I just couldn't look past it. That's so... that's like saying the reason that slavery is taking place is because it's black people. No. Just because the two equal up doesn't mean that's the reason behind it. What's the real reason behind infidelity? Nobody just wakes up and says, oh, I'm going to ruin this union that I have that God has blessed, and I'm going to go sleep with somebody and let's see how bad I can really make things in my life. Nobody with a right state of mind says that. That doesn't just, it doesn't. I mean, nobody wakes up and says, I love my wife so much, I'm going to go sleep with another woman and see how bad I can mess this relationship up.
It all stems from a lack of communication. I agree.
Lack of communication is huge.
I agree.
Big.
I think a lot of issues stem from a lack of communication. I mean, if you're not talking and you're not expressing what frustrations you may be feeling, what needs aren't being met, if you're not talking about them, or if you're communicating, because communication is a two-way street. So if you're communicating and the other person isn't listening or taking that communication into play, then it becomes a problem and you end up seeking that validation somewhere else. I missed that comment. What was
Stacey
it?
said the key is, I said, in their right mind. And a lot of people aren't working in their right mind.
Oh, well, that's very true.
Communication is key. And I'll just stick a pin right there, because when you think of communication, often we think of how well can I communicate my needs to my spouse. Communication is always a two-way street. Mm-hmm. And it's important to realize that men communicate very differently than women communicate. I communicate in a manner that is completely different than the way Jayla speaks. Jayla is when she gets frustrated, she usually has a tendency to get quieter. She'll almost start to whisper at you. And if you don't know her, she's really calm. This isn't really that important because she's whispering it. 2, it's not that big a deal to her because she's really calm. And little do you know that when she reaches that point, it's the calm before the storm. It is. And you want to listen. This is like her last chance to say, look, I'm trying my best to get you to understand what's going on. Because if you don't take heed to this final warning, it's about to go down. And then she explodes. And out of nowhere, you're like, Doug, what? I mean, just a second ago, you was real calm, and now you on some old 10 stuff, and I married Sybil, and I don't even know what happened.
Married Sybil.
I mean, but that's, if you don't know your spouse, you start to thinking, she the crazy one. It's no way you can go from 0 to 150 in 3.6 seconds. You are not a Ferrari. With me, when I'm dealing with
this, it's something right here that start flickering.
I didn't realize it, but I have. It's something in my temple that starts to pulse
flickers
when I'm angry. But when I realize that the way that you learn from different people and your household, really how to communicate.
Exactly.
I'm I'm not going to say something that I don't mean, person. So when I get angry, I shut completely down. I hit the switch. Goodbye. Well, if you don't know me, you might think that means everything's okay.
Right.
He didn't say anything about it. It must not have bothered him.
Wrong.
In that case, really what I'm doing is doing my best to not say things that are not in the Bible, and not say things that will completely ruin it. It is, and that's a man. That's how we do. I'm trying my best not to completely come unhinged because I'm the stronger vessel. You're the weaker vessel. And I have to do my best to put my words. See, men are not verbal people by nature. Women use way more words in a day than men do. And it's that by design. I'm not chauvinistic. I'm not making it. This is a proven fact. Women use more words in a day than men.
Our brains develop quicker than yours do too.
Well, I ain't gonna say all that. I don't know about
That's
that.
true. I learned it.
All right.
Our brains develop before yours do.
The point is, I need to figure out a way to put my emotions into words so that you'll understand them.
Exactly.
Because if I just spout off angrily, then most likely my wife is going to shut down halfway through my spiel, which means the other 50% that I was dealing with that we need to address wasn't even listened to.
Nope.
Wasn't nobody heard it.
And now we got this.
And now there's a gap.
It's that gap.
And once the gap is there, ain't no telling what gets in.
You gotta fight to get it back to no space.
And vice versa. So communication is absolutely key.
It is.
And in order to communicate better, you have to realize that your wife is not any of your past girlfriends.
And your husband is not any of your past boyfriends. And the same thing in relationships when you're dating. You have to realize whoever you're dating is not like anybody from your past because they're completely different people.
It's not an exact science. See, in math, 2 plus 2 is always 4. 4 plus 4 is always 8. It just builds on each other.
Exactly.
In relationships, each relationship that you get into is completely different. 2 plus 2 might be 3.5.
Right.
But in your mind, it's always been 4. There's certain things that you'll put limits on in your new relationship that were harbored from your old relationship.
Exactly.
He didn't like it when I spoke up. So now you're just docile. She didn't like it when I took charge. So now you're henpecked.
Jeez.
I mean, we're going to keep it 100.
We do.
You cannot take old habits from an old relationship and apply them to a new relationship.
Absolutely not. That's a good way to get that space.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be compared to anybody from his past because I'm completely different. I'm a completely different person. As well as he doesn't want to be compared to anybody from my past.
I wish you would.
And at this point, we've been married almost 10 years.
I've been here 10 years. I've been here longer than that.
Yeah.
I wish you would compare me to somebody from your... Well, he didn't like you when I did. Baby, we've been together for almost 15 years.
No, let's see. 17.
Almost 17 years. I wish you would go back 17 years and say, well, Bobby didn't like it when I took his plate. I don't care. You was 12. But real talk, I mean, you can't take old habits from old relationships and try to force them
into your current
into new relationships. Each relationship is brand new.
Exactly.
Great example there. I have personal pet peeves. I'm a sneakerhead. So I'm one that feels like my shoes, I can't buy a pair of shoes for me and not buy a pair of shoes for her.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's great. It breaks my wallet, but it's great for her.
It is.
But at the same time, I'm also one that believes if I buy the shoes, you should wear the shoes. It's just natural. You don't just sit there and look at them. You want the shoe, wear the shoe. You can't say, well, nobody's ever bought me shoes before and I didn't know I was supposed to wear them. That doesn't make sense. Why would you want shoes and just look at them? So, in your relationships, you can't say, well, she never cooked for me, so I just don't expect it. And when my new girl cooks for me, I don't know how to take it.
Right.
Or he wasn't protective, so I'm used to fighting. And now I notice that when I fight or when I become verbal, it gets on his nerves. Mm-hmm. Every person is different, which means you have to get to know your mate, your spouse, your boo, your bae, whoever. You have to get to know them on a one-on-one basis. And who you're dating is not your spouse. Yeah. True. Cameron, you are 100%.
So those people that you're dating, you have to be very careful not to give them spouse privileges.
Oh my goodness. Say it again.
You have to be careful not to give them spouse privileges.
What's a spouse privilege?
Spouse privileges, it's a whole list of spouse privileges. For some people, spouse privileges, washing your clothes or cooking meals for you or cleaning your house.
If you wash my dirty drawers, we are...
There's that cake batter again.
Cake
exactly.
batter.
Tasting batter.
See?
Tasting batter.
Tasting batter.
Sex is another spouse privilege.
If you are not married, you should not be enjoying sex.
No.
Period.
Sorry.
I said it. Now what?
Sorry.
I'm praying that you can shake it or get married. Paul said it's better to marry
than to burn.
And he didn't say that. He didn't say that to tell you enjoying sex. God created sex to be enjoyed.
Exactly.
When
you're married.
But when you're married, this is like a gift for getting married. Like, look, I know you're going to deal with the same person for the rest of your life. I'm going to hook you up. Do this. And we say thank you to God. Mm-hmm. Thank you, God. Mm-hmm. I praise you. Mm-hmm. It's good. But, there are certain things like for some, cooking for their significant other
a spouse privilege
is a spousal privilege. It shows
love and care.
Yeah, some people pour compassion into cooking, and we always, like I said, we always deal with sex with physical acts, but for women, emotionally, you can get attached to a man before sex ever takes place.
Exactly.
And before there's any type of intimacy or commitment. Well, Chris is done cooking. I hope I didn't mess something up for somebody.
Lord Jesus. I'm sorry.
Pastor understands. I'm telling you, there's you can't do things that you only do for your spouse, and it's individual to everybody. Some people can just cook. They put in a hot and ready, and you get it, and the person eating it feels nothing. The person that cooked it feels nothing.
Exactly, Stacey. If you do the same thing for everybody, there's nothing special left. Exactly.
I don't want his leftovers. Mm-mm. Did you make this for him? Well, I need you to...
You need to create a new recipe.
No more Italian. French only. What's unfair? How is it unfair? Somebody...
Yep. Tell us what's unfair.
Yep.
Because as hard as it is, there are some things that some people just do.
Absolutely.
It is.
And what I try to encourage you to do is not to fall into the habit of doing the same thing for everybody.
Right.
Because everybody doesn't like the same thing.
It's in them to do because that's
what they've always done.
Yeah.
Break the cycle.
Exactly. And here's the thing too. You have to know yourself. I know for me, when I get into the kitchen and I make dressing and turkey and macaroni and cheese and greens, that is an act of love. It takes time. It takes effort. It is costly. So for me, that is me showing him love. I'm not going to do that for just any old Tom, Dick, and Harry. I'm just not.
Sure.
Now, people can ask me to make dressing. Generally, the people that ask me to make dressing that I don't charge to make the dressing are people that I genuinely love and care about. Other than that, I'm just not gonna get in the kitchen and slave like that.
Cameron said everybody makes hamburgers, but everybody don't get the special sauce.
There you go.
I mean, and I'm not saying don't be kind to people.
Right.
The person that's commenting he's a gearhead. I'm not saying don't use your gift and talent to help people.
Exactly.
I'm saying if it causes you,
if you get emotionally connected to the person,
or they get emotionally connected to you,
exactly,
and that's not where you're trying to go, cut it off.
Exactly.
Before it gets to a point where you can't go back.
Exactly.
For women, it's
cooking
issues
can be
with
a form of intimacy between you and your spouse. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, God designs this Oliver.
Yes.
So, that being said, there's certain things that you have to, in order to please your spouse, you have to know what they like. And that's why I'm telling you
to. You have to communicate.
No, don't change your name.
No.
Be you. Some people cook when they stress. I'm not saying here. Let me help. I'm not saying don't cook. If you're just a cooker, if you're a culinary wizard, and this is just what you do, then do it.
Right. But there's some special things that you make for the people that you love. Whether it's steak or it's those meals that you hold in your back pocket. Like I know for us, for example, if I want to get on his good side, I'm gonna make some banana pudding. I'm gonna fry some pork chops. I'm gonna make some red Kool-Aid. Like it's certain things that that I know it's a sweet spot for him, and so I'm going to make those things.
We are actually talking about cooking.
We are actually
real cooking.
Yes.
But acts of.
But you can use cooking as an analogy as well.
Yeah, banana pudding ain't no joke, I promise you. But if whatever is intimate to you, then that's what you hold as intimate.
Exactly.
It's important to you.
And you hold that for your spouse.
You cannot. Now, this is where I'm going to draw the line. If you're one of those people that can have sex and not be intimate, and you're going to take this scope to say, well, I'm not intimate, I'm just enjoying the process. This is not what I'm saying. The Bible is clear on premarital sex. Use your love language. Thank you. Whatever your love language is, you have to learn how to communicate with your spouse.
Exactly. And use that with your spouse and your spouse only.
And there are some things that you can say or you can do for your spouse where immediately they'll understand that they are in a safe place.
Exactly.
Because that's kind of where you built it together. Exactly. Like I said, Jayla makes banana pudding for me, and I know everything's good in life. If I come home delivering onions, I'm messed up somewhere. I was under the impression that you have to learn the love language of your spouse and speak that. Okay.
It was like a light bulb went off in your head.
It is, because that is partially true. But on the other end, see, my prayer usually, especially for newlyweds, for me, even 10 years in, is not that I learn how to understand Jayla, but that Jayla understands that I'm able to learn her language, and I'm able to communicate that way. I'm not going to ask Jayla to change her love language so that I can understand it. I just want to appreciate the love language that she displays to me. So while
I have to appreciate his love language.
yeah, so don't go in and change your language, but
grow with each other and learn each other's love language. For him, buying me J's is part of his love language. Now, starting out, that wasn't necessarily my thing. I'm like, okay, I don't hardly wear tennis shoes. You know, I'm not gonna wear them to work. But okay, whatever. I'm now a sneakerhead, and I now send pictures to him like, did you see these are coming out? Oh my goodness, I need these. But that's because that's his love language. And as you grow together, your love languages kind of intertwine and cross-pollinate almost.
yeah, and you don't want, like, for example, if you know your wife don't like flowers, don't send her flowers every Friday because you saw on TV that girls like flowers.
Flowers are lovely. They are beautiful. If you want to get them on every blue moon occasion, that's fine. Don't send no flowers to this house every week, because for me, I'm looking at that as $30 that you didn't spend on this little bouquet of roses that is going to die in a week. No, thank you. Same thing with Mother's Day cards. I don't want no Mother's Day card.
Here we go.
I just don't. I just think it's a waste of money.
Okay, all right. But you have to learn these things about your spouse. Some women love flowers. Mm-hmm. Your ex might not like flowers. Your wife might
love them.
Expect flowers. And if you never send them, guess who's in trouble? Not your ex. It's on you.
Exactly.
So you have to learn your spouse. Learn what they like. Learn what they appreciate. Learn how... my wife just gave me the wrap it up button, dude. Oh my goodness.
You weren't supposed to say that out loud. I wrote it on the paper.
No. Learn how to appreciate what your spouse does.
Exactly.
And learn how to appreciate your spouse.
Exactly. I've learned our languages are different and try to give credit when he speaks in his language.
That's
it. That's half the battle.
Shay, it's just growth.
That's half the battle.
I don't expect, and see, we often get into this thing of once we get married, it gets easier. The truth is, now that you're married, you learn somebody else. So your beginning years of marriage is not easy. Mm-mm. It's not simple. It's not happily ever after. Mm-mm. You go in and it's a journey.
It is.
But it's a journey together.
Exactly.
And each day you should grow closer and closer together.
Exactly.
The devil takes his gloves off when you get married.
He'd be like, oh, yep. Yeah. I'm done playing fair. It's time to play dirty. And he will play really dirty and earrings and get the Vaseline out. Yeah. Like, seriously.
I mean, this is but you have to understand that God created marriage, and anything God created, the devil really wants to see fail.
Exactly.
So if your marriage, now watch, this is next level. This is beyond, this is my boo and I love her. If your marriage becomes a testimony of God's love and other people see that in you, all of a sudden your marriage just became a ministry.
Exactly.
So don't be surprised when the devil, not if, when the devil attacks your marriage.
Sorry.
Because when the devil attacks, he's basically saying your marriage is starting to show people just how great God can be. And I can't have that.
Exactly.
So,
it's true.
And it's very true. You have to look at it and say, my marriage is not just about me. It's not just about her. Sometimes marriage takes place in order to make you both, to help your salvation work together.
Exactly.
And let me help you. If you're not more saved, is that even possible? If you're not closer with God in your marriage than you were before, check your marriage.
I agree.
I learned more about God through marriage than I did through Sunday school. It's gonna be some Sunday school people that's mad at me.
Ooh, you gonna have some superintendents mad at you today, Doc.
But the seed was planted, but marriage watered it and pruned it and watered it some more.
Exactly. And planted some more seeds.
And planted more seeds. So you'll start
germinate.
That's a good $10 word. Marriage is simply put on earth. I would argue God put marriage on earth to show you how faithful He could be. You meet your spouse while they're not perfect, while they may not always be while they may not always be honest, they may not always be loyal, they may not always be faithful, they may not always encourage you, and they may not always understand you.
Exactly.
If for a period of time they do it, they show you the qualities that God has.
Exactly.
And how dare us look at the situation and say marriage isn't important. People don't care if I get a divorce. People, you have to realize that your marriage is not all about you.
It's not.
There are people that are looking at you for an example of God's love.
Exactly. And even, I think it can, especially in this format, because we have kind of opened up our marriage and put it on display for all the world to see. So, it's easy for us to sit here and say that, your marriage is for somebody else and somebody else is watching you, because you guys are literally sitting here watching us. But even if you never get on Periscope, you never get on Facebook Live, you never speak about your marriage. If you have kids in your house, they're watching.
And kids are the biggest sponge ever.
Ever.
If you call mommy a bad word, all of a sudden, in the back of his head, his or her head, it's okay to talk to women like this.
Exactly.
If you beat mommy, it's okay to put your hands, and then you want to ask, especially if you have a little girl, why would you allow him to put his hands on you? As a father that's protective, why wouldn't you just come home, well, Daddy, you beat mommy and everything was okay?
And it don't even have to be to that extreme. It could be...
Well, I took it to that extreme.
Yeah, that's fine. It could be simply you cheated on mommy or you cheated on daddy. And when they get older and they get into that situation, you're sitting there wondering, well, why won't she leave? Because she saw mom stay and she saw you do the exact same thing. They watch everything. I'll never forget, the one great thing about Trinity is we have these awesome marriage ministry conferences and retreats. And this was probably either the first year we got married or like right before we got married. I can't remember which one. And it was a pastor, Pastor Mac, that was here. And he said that him and his wife had made marriage look so great and so awesome that his kids couldn't wait to get married. And his daughter had went and got engaged to some guy that they didn't necessarily approve of. But it was because their example of marriage was so awesome and so great that that's what she longed for and that's what she wanted. That's just one person watching their marriage that it impacted them. So it's the same thing for anybody that's married. Your marriage impacts more than just the two of you.
You'd be surprised how much your marriage impacts your friends.
Exactly.
And I have plenty of friends that'll call me and be like, Doc, I don't know how you and Jay do it, but we just gonna keep pushing until we can get to that level. And I tease them like that. I'm day by day.
We got our own struggles over here.
Day by day. and it's just a lot of prayer. Sometimes you can make things look easy, and people be like, "Oh, they got it made." No, let me. Life ain't been no crystal stair
at all.
But the truth is, I wouldn't go through it with anybody else.
God, no.
And God has ordained marriage so that you would have a helpmeet to go over mountains,
Exactly.
to go through valleys, to go through fires, to go through the flood. No, it's not going to be easy. But pick the person that you want to go through it with.
Exactly.
And stay with that person.
Exactly.
All right, we
45
almost
minutes.
45 minutes
We
in.
done went 15 minutes.
I done wasted y'all time. My Easter
Sorry,
speech is
y'all.
done for the day. Want to let you know, I'm praying daily for each and every one of your marriage. I know I go through Periscope just to see who watched, who tuned in. Right, 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's about to be the standard.
It's probably gonna be the standard.
Yeah.
But I go through Periscope, I go through Facebook just to see
Who's watching?
who's on.
Who watched?
And by name, I pray for your union. I pray for your life, even your singleness. I mean, I know
Single lives matter.
Single lives matter. I dig it, but I'm praying for your situation.
Exactly.
So I want to let you know that I love you. I do not take.
We love you.
We love you. We do not take any of you for granted. We don't just come on here every Saturday just to giggle.
Right.
I mean,
This is serious.
it's serious, but we love doing it.
We do.
And we love seeing the growth in you. So that being said, we're one person short from releasing our YouTube page.
Okay, Chris, we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Yeah, this is. I love y'all. We are one person away from releasing our YouTube page.
So if you have not shared the M3 Making Marriage Matter page on Facebook, go out, invite a couple of friends to like the page. As soon as we hit 250, we are unlocking the YouTube channel, and all of our past Periscopes will be up for your viewing enjoyment.
Yeah, it's like, giving you a free library.
Yeah.
For free. Boom! That being said, we love you.
Yeah.
I hope you go to somebody's church tomorrow.
If you're in the Pontiac area, join us at Trinity Missionary Baptist Church, 113-123 Weston Street, Pontiac, Michigan, 48341.
If you're in Jacksonville, go see Pastor Rumlin.
Day Springs. I don't know Day Springs address, Pastor Rumlin. I'm sorry.
Day Springs. Look it up.
Right.
How about that? They're on the internet. Anything on the internet got to be real.
Oh, Jesus.
So, we love all of you. We'll see you next week. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, you can always email us.
RevGracie@gmail.com.
They're on Dunn Street.
Oh, they're on Dunn Street.
RevGracie@gmail.com. You can catch me on Facebook at Coley Gracie, at Twitter at Rev Gracie.
Mine is easy. It's just Jayla Gracie, y'all.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for
You can, look, if you want to reach me, I'm easy to be reached.
Exactly.
So if you have questions, concerns,
Prayer
future
requests.
prayer requests, future things that you want us to tackle,
Let us know.
let us know. We
All
about
right.
that life.
We are. Pray for us. We got some big things happening next week.
Come on.
So come on. Kaylee has to come say hi.
Hello.
You want to
All right.
right.
Back in the bed you go.
Good
Yes.
night.
Daddy, can you get me something to eat?
Yes.
Yes, go.
This
Back on Daddy duty.
pizza roll.
Jesus.
All right.
Love y'all.